Good morning, Friday, November 7. I have Tony visiting me today. Tony,
Hey, Nate.
financial analyst. What can I call it to you? A financial analyst.
American. We can say he's American.
Markets expert. Is that fair to say?
Markets
The
expert. I tell
Scaramucci
you,
of Western New York.
the mooch. No, I do not do the Botox, as you can tell.
Oh, is he big?
So I
Is he
am
big
not
on the
like
Botox?
I'm not like the mooch. The mooch is really, he's really plugged in. He's in with a lot of the big movers and shakers out there in the world. He knows things that no one else knows, but he's happy to spread them for a fee. So, interesting guy. I like him myself.
I used to hate his guts because, I can't forget the fact that he's the guy who was like telling us that Trump makes free throw after free throw after free throw and can throw a perfect spiral. He was he was very sycophantic, but I got to admit he's clever. He's clever. Not sometimes I don't agree with him. There's a self-effacing quality about him. Like he's very self. He's got like a really easygoing and common sense way of speaking. So he's kind of won me over a little bit too.
Yeah.
All right, listen. Big win, Zohran Mamdani.
Oh, wait a minute.
Go ahead.
That's not a big win. Nate, that is not a big win. Big win is Elon Musk getting $1 trillion. That's 12 zeros. 1,000 billion pay package if he's able to pull off what the company hopes he's going to be able to do for them. Now that's the big news.
So explain this to me. Like this is. I was just talking to my brother about this. We lived in China together, me and my brother. I know what Chinese guys are like, right? In general, like the guys I went to school with. They're super diligent. They're super smart. They never get frazzled, and so they're our big competitor, right? In technology. But when I look at America, they're like, oh yeah, the future is Elon Musk, the guy who's always high, who's like going to comedy clubs, doesn't seem to actually. He seems like a slacker. Like, so who would you bet on long term, Elon or some Tang Jiangshan, one of my classmates from China who was brilliant? Honestly, who would you bet on to help shape the world and be the future?
Well, funny you should say that because I think it was yesterday the Financial Times had a piece. It was only like a 3-minute read on Jensen Huang, who's the CEO of NVIDIA.
Right.
And he was just talking about the AI race and how the president has said that it's imperative that the United States at all costs win the AI race. Okay, and we're far ahead, but China's catching up. Well, Jensen, who's in a position to know, okay, and he has a PhD. He's just not a guy who wears these black leather jackets. He ended up saying that the United States is like nanoseconds ahead of China. And the administration did not like that. And then he ended up having to step that back and not be as colorful in his estimation of this.
Yeah, I think a part of that is he wants to scare people and say, hey, we got to invest in NVIDIA. We got to keep this train going. I think saying, hey, China's catching up is in his interest, but it's also true.
Let me tell you what, the Biden administration thought that they could keep America's position by restricting some of the NVIDIA chips that would be sold to China. Instead, what it did is it incentivized them to become really creative and use the software design that they had to use earlier generation chips and get a heck of a lot more out of them than we were. They're in a position where they're not only laying out a tremendous amount of electrical resources, which is they're building nuclear. They've got a ton of renewables that are coming online all the time. And the AI technologies they're using use considerably less power than they do in the United States. So what I'm saying is, you can say what you want about the U.S., but if we just trash the Greens and we don't really accelerate any nuclear stuff, we are going to be left behind in that race. And if it is,
well, that's 100% true. We are already being left behind. If you look at the rate of advancement by China compared to the United States over the last 20 years, it's crazy. if I were to sum it up as simply as I could say, we
Hmm.
we keep trying to control China. Nixon went there to open China up. 20 years later, he was like, "I think I made the greatest mistake ever. We created this superpower." Uh,
Right.
Clinton tried to open China up, regulate trade with them, and again, same thing. Most people would say that was a huge mistake. They weren't ready for that, or they didn't deserve to be treated with most favored nation status. And by doing that, we created this nightmare. We built China. We invested in China. We're the ones responsible for the rise of China. Trump now, different approach. He wants to close China off, cut them off from everything, destroy them with tariffs. He can't do it. The,
Same thing, Nate, with Canada. By the way, he wants to cut them off and say that they need it. They are actually our largest trading partner, actually larger than China, believe it or not. And so, what are these people doing? What they're doing is saying it's a bigger world than just America. I know this is a huge market here, but we're going to see what we can do to blunt some of the extortion that the United States is trying to do on us. And I'm just going to say something in life, and you probably know this. I think most people who listen know this. I got a good friend of mine who I love, and he had a piece of advice for me once, and he says, Tony, you can never have too many friends. And I really believe that's true in terms of geopolitics. I think the United States can never have too many friends. I think one of the reasons we have been admired in the world is because of our soft power, and is that we did things not because we were going to get paid to do them or we could get a benefit from doing it, but because it helped people, it was the right thing to do, and it came back to us in spades.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But I think back to the China thing. If you want to beat China, you have to beat China. That's what I think. Like we're in a race. You could try to fix that race all you want. You could try to knock their legs off, whatever you want to do. But maybe we should learn, hey, we have
Mhm.
to educate our people. We can't turn our education system into a cash cow for private corporations. It should actually be designed to educate and to teach people things and to educate the populace like they do in China, where they have a very sophisticated, very advanced education system that grows by leaps and bounds. Our education system is to make money. That's just one example. Maybe we should figure out ways to invest in our people, in our economy, in our infrastructure. Maybe we should have more of a long-term approach than just a quarterly approach to everything, including how we invest in our governments and our everything. I mean, our government, everything has been hollowed out. The great power of America was our capitalist system, free market. We can all compete. Because we all can compete, we all have a chance to grow and make things. I don't think that's the case anymore. We have a vampire capitalism. We have private equity that buys things and bleeds them to death and then sells them. Uh, we just don't have a functioning capitalist market system, and we don't have a government system that believes in the common good like China does. They believe the common interest of the nation is more important than any individual person or corporation.
Yeah, and I think, Nate, it comes down to a basic truth about life. And that is that if your sole focus is on yourself and feathering your own nest and doing things that are only in your self-interest, that is not going to provide the benefits you had hoped. On the opposite side, when you are in service to others, when you are looking out for others, for the benefit of others and trying to help them and help bring them along, uh, it seems as though historically that has been the answer to a sense of fulfillment. It's been the answer to a sense of happiness, contentment, and it just makes the world go round. So it isn't necessarily that money makes the world go round. I do think looking out for other people does make the world go round because what goes around comes around. And I think we saw that in some of the elections. People who are on the news all the time can talk about the tremendous increases in the markets, and some of these billionaires are becoming just like excessively wealthy. And that's happening at the same time that, as a government, we haven't found a solution giving people who are just on the margins with, SNAP and WIC, making sure that the lifeline that we told them we would offer them as a wealthy society would be uninterrupted. We weren't able to find a way to do that. And the legislators who have the power to make these changes continue to get paid, as our federal workers don't. And that just seems fundamentally
Well,
wrong to people.
there's an American model. American model is you build a bigger and bigger, nicer house. You don't care about the community pool. You got your own pool. You don't even care about the community playground. You got your own playground in your backyard where your grandkids and your kids can play. You don't even care about going to the movies because you have a movie theater in your house, and you probably have a whole arcade in your house if you have the money. But the problem is you can build a fence around that like they do in the South, these Houston gated communities where you can't get in and out without a security guard. But
Right.
beyond that fence, what is there? Do you want to live in Guadalajara where they have, very wealthy neighborhoods protected by security and then everything outside of it is destitute? Is that what America should be? I remember growing up in America where the police and the cops and the teachers all lived on the same street. Maybe the doctor or the lawyer had a slightly better house, but you didn't live in little conclaves. You didn't live in compounds. I don't think the American model is working. I think it's become incredibly selfish. And what does it matter how much money you have if you can't go to the gas station?
Well, I think the interesting thing, Nate, is maybe it's time for us to redefine the term segregation. And it's over the last 50 years, we have migrated from racial segregation to economic segregation.
which often overlaps with racial segregation, but yes. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I appreciate that. The point I'm making is that people often talk about this being a K economy, where the one leg is going up on the K, which means people who own homes, who have money in equities, who have money in businesses, they're doing just fine right now. And then you've got everyone else, and that's the lower leg of the K. Those people are finding it exceedingly difficult to afford health care, to afford childcare, to be able to afford to get into a home. I think at this point now, I think the average age of people getting into their first home is 40, not in their 20s, but is 40. And so there is, to your point, I think some economic segregation going in on society. And when you look at the macro, that you can talk about the macros about how the economy is doing, but people's lives are lived in the micro. And I think that's sort of what came out in this election on Tuesday.
Absolutely. But before I'm going to go into some clips. Before I do that, I want to say to all these idiots out there who are saying, well, we should get rid of these food stamps. Number one, let's say every single person on food stamps or on SNAP is completely lazy, a drug addict, and has lived a completely debaucherous life. Well, what about the kids? That's what I always say about Ayn Rand and all these other books that talk about supermen and losers and parasites versus supermen that create. What about the kids? What about the old people? Are they going to go get a job? And never mind the fact that I don't agree with the premise, but let's pretend the premise is correct. All these people are lazy and they should go get a job. What if they're not? Are you going to take care of those kids? Are you going to let those kids starve in the richest country in the history of the world? That's what makes me so mad. Number two, food stamps are in the Farm Bill. They're in the Farm Bill every time. Farmers are the biggest advocates for food stamps because it regulates their business and allows them to supply you a steady stream of food and not have huge fluctuations in the price of food and the cost of goods based on demand. They love food stamps. Farmers love SNAP. Every Farm Bill has a mention or there's language in there defending SNAP benefits.
And by the way, they also love global trade, don't they?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely.
Especially in a country that has the best soil in the world. Why do we have the best soil? People don't know this in Western New York. Because 12,000 years ago or 20,000 years ago, there was an ice age that pushed all the soil from Canada down, tore it up, and pushed it down and created all that topsoil, all that nutritious soil was dumped on places like Western New York. And when the ice receded, you can see in Canada they have the Canadian Shield, all that rock. 80% or 75% of Canada is rock, exposed rock. Absolutely beautiful, terrible for farming. So we have this blessed land here in America, which is like huge, more arable land than anywhere in the world. And that's our advantage. But because of Trump, we're not able to use that advantage. Let me move right into some commentary. This is Mehdi Hassan, one of my favorite commentators, and wrote a great book on debate last year or 2 years ago. Here he goes. You're probably not going to be able to hear this, Tony, but I'll explain.
Okay.
It's a defeat for Michael Bloomberg. It's a defeat for James Murdoch. It's a defeat for the Home Depot guy. It's a defeat for the Walmart woman. It's a defeat for Airbnb. It's a defeat for DoorDash. It's a defeat for all the billionaires who put all that money down, and the 34-year-old socialists beat them all. I don't know how Andrew and Chris Cuomo are feeling tonight. Let's put up another graphic that we have about how much money the billionaires spent. You can see how much money Michael Bloomberg and the Estee Lauder family and Bill Ackman were spending in this.
Basically, he's showing the statistics of how much all the billionaires in America paid to have Cuomo win. It's incredible. The number of billionaires who maxed out to Cuomo, and the how lopsided the fundraising was. It's shocking that Mamdani won. And Hassan is saying here, this is not just a defeat for Cuomo and a victory for Mamdani. It's a defeat of the billionaire class in America, because there's definitely a top-bottom dynamic going on here. Trump has tried to usurp the power that should have been the Democrats' position, but because they're people like Tim Kennedy and these folks are too sold out to the billionaire class, the Democrats never seized this. But Trump said, hey, there's this inequality in America. It's elites, cultural elites, that are causing this. But I think the Democrats have a real chance now to say, no, it isn't cultural elites. It's economic elites who are exploiting everybody else. So Hassan is saying here, this is a huge win against the billionaire class. Now, hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I do think that we have gotten sucked into the culture wars. And, as you know, well, I can just tell you, I'm a little bit older than you. And when I was growing up, Madison Avenue had sort of one dictum, which was sex sells. And we used to have all these commercials that were sometimes not as thinly veiled as would be the case. Or when auto manufacturers were selling cars, they had these beautiful women draped all over the cars, et cetera, et cetera. And, they knew that sex sold, Madison Avenue did, and they put that in all their ads. As a matter of fact, Nate, there was one time before there were flight attendants, they were called stewardesses. And the stewardesses were just women. They had certain height and weight requirements, et cetera, et cetera. And, one of the ads, I forget what the name of the airline was, but they had this, lovely blonde stewardess looking right into the camera and saying, coffee, tea, or me. Now, you look at it today.
Do you know what Southwest was?
Huh?
Southwest had a picture of a beautiful, sexy stew, as they say, and it said, Southwest moves its tail for you. That was the really? Ad. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Now you look at it today and say, what were you guys thinking? But that was...
You know what they were thinking? People are like, I want to go see the pretty girls on the airplane.
Yeah. But that was the gestalt back then. Right. But one of the reasons is that they knew this would, metaphorically get a rise out of consumers. However, what they found over time is that there's something even more powerful than sex in terms of eliciting a response from consumers.
What is it?
And that is rage.
Oof.
And that's really what social media is all about. It's using algorithms to generate rage, and we see that in our politics. And so the point I'm trying to make is that I think everything in life has a shelf life. And I think that, people are beginning to back off of social media. They're getting tired of the rage, and they're defaulting to economic issues and saying, I can spend my whole life looking at this, but I can't buy the groceries I need to buy. I can't afford to buy a new car. I can't afford to get another house. I think maybe that's where we're tilting to. I don't know. What do you think?
I can tell you when I ran for office against Chris Collins, rage was super powerful. I remember my brother sent me a song. He's like, you probably never heard this. Public Image Limited. It was a British band. Here, I'll play a little bit.
You are correct. I have not heard that.
It's good. You're going to hear it on the podcast. You can't hear it right now through your headphones, but it's great. But Eric, I'm playing a little bit right now. Well, anyway, that song has a refrain in it where it goes, "Anger is an energy. Anger is an energy." It's a great song, but like anger is an energy, but the energy that comes from anger is often dark energy, right? It's like
Right.
what you learn from the Star Wars movies. There's the light side and the bright side of the Force. The problem is the light side of the Force does not heat up quick. And in elections, you need something to heat up quick. One of the criticisms I get for my campaign against Chris Collins was I didn't use too much negative advertising. People are like,
Right.
you should have went more negative. You should have went more negative. And maybe I should have, because it seems to work. I mean, everything against me was negative. And if I look at the things that were said in those ads against me, it's people still say those things to me. It sticks in their head.
Right.
So I don't know. I would hope that human beings would eventually say, hey, we don't want to be the side of anger. And I think you have to have hope. But if I'm being honest about it, I think you need to mix legitimate righteous indignation, righteous anger, again, with the dark, malicious type of anger and a sense of hope. You can't have all anger, but you have to have a sense of hope. And I think if you only have anger, eventually it wears off because it burns hot like aluminum and cools down quick. And I think that's what's happening with Trump. I think people are sick of it. I think they're bored of it. How long can you be mad at trans people? I mean, how long?
I don't know. It's like, how many are there? I don't think there are a ton of them. And you look at just look at the contrast, Nate, which is really sort of astounding. Is you've got the richest country in the world, and basically you have the president, solicitor general going in front of the Supreme Court, and basically saying that we think the president should have no guardrails. There is no one who ought to be able to check his power, and this unitary presidency theory, the unitary theory of a president where he has total control over everything. It really gets rid of the Article 1 Congress. They'd end up being a rubber stamp. Excuse me. He can do whatever he wants. He can assess tariffs on people, which are taxes. Now he says they're not a tax, and the foreign countries pay the taxes, but Supreme Court Justice Roberts ended up saying no, a tariff is a tax.
They call it by the way, that unitary presidency theory they call in their own circles Red Caesar. That's what that's what the right wing refers it to, Red Caesar theory. Yeah, it's crazy. I thought the Supreme Court, they're flipping on him. I think that the Supreme Court is obviously influenced by public opinion, and they read the room. And after the results of Tuesday, I think they're like, geez, we don't want to go to jail. I'm serious. I think that part of it was like, they're obviously not going to vote for him on the tariff thing. I think it was distressing, the fact that how far they've already bent for him. But I think that the zeitgeist has changed. There is a change in the mood of the world and the country. Trump will desperately hold on. He'll be like the character from It at the end, changing faces and screaming and fighting as he gets torn out of power. It's not going to be easy, but I think the fear is gone. Like the character It in those movies or in the Stephen King book, he lives off our fear. I think the fear is gone. I think reality is starting to come back. I think, I'm hopeful.
Well, I think the interesting contrast is you see pictures of the Oval Office just from the outside. He's got a gold sign, the Oval Office.
Yeah.
Then he's got these gold festoons over the door. You go into Oval Office, it looks like Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
Everything is festooned with gold. And the question people have is, I have to wait 1 second, please.
Oh, no worries. I'm gonna play another clip while you do that.
Will have to be no longer lionized as somehow exemplars of.
This is
what
Harris,
should be when you
Sam
become
Harris,
wealthy.
rather.
It should be embarrassing
Not editor.
to be a billionaire who is not incredibly generous and obviously positive sum with respect to the common good, right? The billionaire who's just trying to maximize the escape plan to New Zealand and otherwise trying to hold on to every dime. That has to be embarrassing among other billionaires. You shouldn't be able to go to the party in Aspen and be in good standing reputationally if you're that much of an asshole.
He's talking, it was Sam Harris, the famous atheist and public speaker. He's talking about how if you're a billionaire and your whole thing is, hey, I'm going to hold on to as much money as possible and build a compound in New Zealand to survive the apocalypse, you should be socially ostracized at this point. The fact that these guys think they can get away with this and they're lionized by our society and they're allowed to go to Aspen and hang out at these ritzy parties, it should be an embarrassment to be around people like that. And I do agree. If you're that greedy, I mean, how much money does Jeff Bezos need? Did you hear the latest rumor about Jeff Bezos, by the way?
No.
That he's in a throuple with, this is a rumor, allegation, don't sue me, Jeff, last thing I need in my life, that he's in a throuple with Sydney Sweeney. And it's causing problems in his marriage, and that's why she was pushed so hard. Oh, jeez, I mean, like,
well, Nate,
personal issues. Go ahead.
I
don't know if that's true.
I sort of resent that because I find myself in the same position with Sydney. It's ridiculous.
Give me a heart attack here.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I tell you though, why would you vote for someone who is a billionaire? Now, people in this country think, well, if you're a billionaire, you're successful. And so if you're successful, you can make our government run better, right? But I think at this point, we've had sort of an inflection point. And I think people are saying, what does a billionaire have in common with me?
Nothing.
Do they ever go shopping for themselves?
No.
They don't. Do they fly commercial? They don't. Do they know what gas is? No, because they have someone driving them all over the place. They don't know. They're insulated from my life. And I would think that someone would want a representative in Congress or in the Senate or in the White House who would have some vague idea of what life is like for the rest of us who end up having to drive ourselves.
It's pretty simple. You need public funding of elections and say no more of this corporate money. It's not free speech. It's actually destroying free speech. The rules need to be changed. So guys like Tim Kennedy just can't fundraise from the billionaire class. You also need to tell people, hey, vote for people that there's no way that someone who's a billionaire could actually represent your interests. I'm sorry, they can't. Because I don't care how much money you have. I don't want limits on people's money. But if you're a billionaire and you have people working for you that can't afford to pay the rent or the mortgage like you have all over this country, and if you're a billionaire, you probably have interests in lots of different things, including businesses where people can't afford to live, you should not be a billionaire. That's the problem. The essential problem is not that you have too much money. The problem is you have too much money because the people that work for you or support you in some way or another can't live in the same country that you're in. So those are go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, but people just need to understand that when you, in politics, money isn't everything anymore.
No, it's not. Not like it was a couple of years ago. Because there's so many other ways to get your message out there now. That's
right.
Like this wonderful podcast.
Well, that's another thing. But, Kamala Harris, I think actually spent more money.
So did Hillary.
Than Donald Trump did in the 2024 election.
So did Hillary.
And, bottom line is that that didn't get things done. I think, historically, I think a lot of congressional candidates have gotten a war chest of $1 million and said, okay, I've got this from all the special interests who I am going to be voting for. Try and take me on. And that scared people off, and that's how they ended up becoming permanent incumbents. And that's how Nancy Pelosi ended up being in Congress for nearly 40 years.
That lady, okay.
Gerontocracy people. I think one of the interesting things, what?
I'm going to tell my Nancy Pelosi story. So I'm in the middle of the night, right?
Oh, okay.
I'm in the middle.
Yeah, but I think one of the interesting things Mamdani did demonstrate is that by effectively using TikTok and other social media platforms, he was able to reach in a very cost-effective fashion a lot of voters, which ended up propelling him into office.
Trump proved it. Trump proved it first. I mean, even in my local elections here, I kind of proved it. I didn't have any money, and I was able to get my message out through social media. Mamdani proved it. Social media
Mhm.
is the great equalizer in politics, at least for right now. Um,
Mhm.
but back to Nancy Pelosi. I'm in my room in my hotel in Hamburg, beautiful Hamburg, New York. It's a dingy
You
hotel.
own a hotel?
No, I was
Oh, you're in a hotel. I thought you said in my
election night 2018. It's a lifetime ago at this point.
hotel.
Election 2018 election.
Take us back.
Yeah, take you
Take
back.
us back.
My phone rings, unidentified number. I don't pick it up. It rings again, unidentified number. I'm like, what the heck? I pick the phone up. Yeah, I'm half asleep because I'm so tired. Hi,
I
Nate.
think you have frozen.
No, I'm here. Don't worry. You're frozen on your side, but I'm good on my side. He said, hi, Nate. This is Nancy Pelosi. I'm like, sure it is.
All right.
Yeah, I'm like, sure.
I think we were just taking you back.
Yeah,
All right, go ahead.
yeah. I'm like, sure it is. Sure, it's Nancy Pelosi. And in fact, it was Nancy Pelosi. And she gave me her chief of staff's number, and we followed up later to verify it was all good. She's like, we will do everything in your power to win. We can see it's going to, I'm like, you can see? Since when are you paying attention to this race? So we could see it's going to be extremely close. And if it's close, we'll have your back 100% for recounts or whatever we need to do. I promise you. I was like, great. So I followed up with her after the results. I was being sued by a Democratic Party not to be able to impound the machines or do any type of recount or whatever. We had no money left. So I went to go see her. I drove down to D.C. Again, I found her at an event. I walked up to her and I said, are you going to help me? Yes, we will be there for you. I never heard from her again. Never, ever, ever.
No.
I mean, it's just like, that's my limited experience with her. Was she pleasant to me? 100%. But she essentially lied to me and to the people of this region.
Well, Nate, now come on. I would say that your currency to her was as a vote. And as long as you could become a vote, she's willing to help make you into a vote. But if she can't do that, you mean as much to her as I do or anyone else.
Well, whatever. We could talk about it all day. She was determined at one point to make me a vote. And in most states, if you become within half percentage point, it's an automatic recount. We're within 0.27%, and she won't even call me back. So it's like, I mean, I think a lot of people should be suspicious of that era of leadership. I think they were completely corporate, completely self-interested. I think they were not based on values, and I think that era is coming to an edge. I saw yesterday Hillary Clinton on there just absolutely bashing young people for being upset about the Gaza war, as if they're just a bunch of stupid idiots. I'm like, when is that generation going to realize we're done with them? We're done with the 80s. We're done with the 90s. We're done, as they say. We're moving on. All right.
Well, Nate, one other point.
Yeah.
I can tell you New York State history.
Yeah.
We had a U.S. Senator, Jacob Javits, and he was sort of a giant. You know, in New York City, they named the Javits Center after him.
Yep, that's where I took my power
He was
exam.
a big deal, and it's like, he was sort of like a Schumer. You just can't challenge the guy. Anyway, this county executive out of Long Island, I think, by the name of Alphonse D'Amato.
Oh, yeah.
Decided to challenge him. It's like, are you kidding me? You're going up against Jacob Javits? Guess what? He beat him. And a lot of these people, who are incumbents and who've had track records over periods of years, they look like they're unassailable. But depending on the timing and depending on the way the leaves are blowing, I think anybody can be taken out in an election.
Well, there's a guy, by the way, we kind of had a previous socialist New York City mayor, by the way, and he did pretty good. Didn't call himself a socialist, but he worked with the socialists. He was pro-working class. He was populist, anti-corruption, pro-labor, pro-political machine, believed government should actively help ordinary people. New Deal Republican, and his name was LaGuardia. And he did pretty well. So we'll see how it goes for Mamdani. But he was probably the most successful mayor in the history of New York City.
One of the interesting things, too, about Mamdani is I saw a clip where Jamie Dimon, who runs J.P. Morgan, is probably the premier
jackass in America, yes.
Financial CEO in America. He ended up saying that he has been communicating with Mamdani, and he says he will continue to do that if he finds it to be fruitful. And I think you do have some people who are reaching out to him and saying, let me just give you a sense of how things actually work. if you want to move an agenda, if you want to be able to achieve your goals, this way may be counterproductive, although it may seem like it's obvious that it is. There may be other ways in order to do that without necessarily blowing up the system. And people know, I think that New York State, specifically New York City, is a financial powerhouse, and a tremendous amount of tax dollars are generated from there. I don't think you're going to see a lot of people leaving New York who are very well heeled just because
No
of the
way.
fact that you can only get New York
In New York, right? Great said.
Okay.
Well said. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to switch gears a little bit because of time. And by the way, let's try to lock you in every Friday. So that, because
All right.
you're always traveling, you're like the Donnie Deutsch of Western New York.
If only it were true.
You're always you're living the jet set life. So I gotta.
Yeah, right.
All right, okay, here we go.
Yeah, Jetson life, I think, is more of it.
Next video. This is a little change of gear. By the way, I want to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's losing her mind. But some folks from the Pentagon say the UFOs that have been spotted are actually demons, fallen angels. And so here's a clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene echoing that sentiment.
Who say it's demons. Tell them that story. Tell them about the demons.
Yeah,
it's Halloween. Yes. Tell them about the demons.
I can't believe these words were coming out of their mouths. He's like, I'm briefing them on an advanced aerospace vehicle that's absolutely there. It's been spotted by trained observers like our Navy fighter pilots in their $80 million airplanes that we trust them with, right? It's been spotted on data collection systems like satellite and radar. And this guy's telling me it's a demon. It's insane. And he's like, my mind was blown, and this is something I'm dealing with inside of the government.
It's Halloween. Let me just ask the final question for the panel. Do you think demons and the devil are real?
Absolutely. I'm a Bible-believing Christian. I definitely, and I believe those could be fallen angels.
All these things could be real.
Fallen angels.
Yeah, fallen
The
angels.
aliens are fallen angels.
That's possible. I think that's what they could be. That's what makes sense in my worldview.
Michael?
No.
All right, so that's Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that.
Yeah.
She believes that the fallen angels are the UFOs. Okay, what do you think? Do you believe that the UFOs we're seeing are fallen angels or demons?
Yeah, well, it's like what I think is everybody is entitled to their beliefs. Okay, and that's where that ends. What I will say about her is I thought she was, I don't know. She seems to be turning a bit. I saw her on a clip on something about Nancy Pelosi's decision not to run again. And she was highly complimentary. She says, she was Speaker of the House during my first term. And I'll tell you what, regardless of whether you liked her or not, she was someone who could get things done.
Sounds to me like she wants to be a governor or a state senator, and she has to moderate.
She wants to be, right? She wants to be something more than just a congressperson.
One of hundreds of people. She's had enough.
Now contrast that with DJT, who says, I think she was an evil person. I think she's just awful. Did you
hear what AOC said about Marjorie Taylor Greene? She said that she's doing this because she's burned by Trump because Trump wouldn't let her run for Senate. So this is a revenge tour. So yeah. I mean, I think she's smart. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, let's be honest, she should be the type of person that we as Democrats recruited. Hear me out. She's like a contractor, a small business owner, angry mom type. That should be our base. I'm sorry, it should be. I know she's got these other vile beliefs. It's because we haven't given her other beliefs to have and made her part of this team. I'm not making excuses for her. I'm saying we should be targeting the small business owners of America. And my general belief is they don't like us. I got pulled over by a cop yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, and I knew the cop, so it was fun.
Yeah. What was his reason for pulling you over?
I don't want to get into it, but he pulled me over, and I said, hey man, and we talked for a while, and he was complaining. He's like, my small business is getting nailed by this and that. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure it is. we should be, as a party, not only giving people food stamps, but saying, how do we make small businesses successful in America? That should be our goal. Not how do we make NVIDIA more richer. We know NVIDIA is going to be fine. How do we make sure Elon Musk doesn't have $1 trillion? How do we do you know what the tax burden is on small businesses in New York State? It's ridiculous. Go ahead.
I agree. And what I would say is this, there's a big push in the financial services industry to allow people with 401k plans to be able to invest in private equity deals. What I can tell you is this is not a great idea.
No, it's not.
The fees likely are going to be high. The transparency is going to be not that great. And the liquidity or the ability to get out of it also is not going to be that great. However, when they decide to let the great unwashed masses in on this great deal, usually that makes sense to not walk, but run away from that deal. What I will say, on the other hand, to your point, is I think one of the greatest ways, to be able to have a better life in America is to have a business. And I think we should be fostering entrepreneurship in our schools. I think we should be providing incentives for people to start businesses. And I think we should, especially in New York State, just look at the level of taxation.
Can you imagine if we gave that $1 billion we gave to Elon Musk to 50,000 small business owners in Buffalo to start contracting businesses and hair salons and whatever else? Like, it would have revitalized the city of Buffalo. I'm telling you, it would have worked. Instead of having a giant warehouse in the outskirts of the city that doesn't do anything.
But I got to tell you, Nate, where it all starts is in the public school systems. Yeah. And great cities have great public school systems.
Yeah, I agree with
that. And in order for
Buffalo
Buffalo to turn the corner, it isn't going to turn the corner with more aid for developers. It isn't going to turn the corner by coming up with more money for stadiums. It is going to turn the corner by looking at these urban school districts and seeing that maybe they need to be reimagined, they need to be reinvented, and they need to be turning out students.
They do.
Who are able to really.
Did you ever see? Have you ever seen Niagara Falls High School before?
No.
It's unbelievable. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful, but people don't want to send their kids there, and it's a real problem. A lot of people are running away from that school district because even though they have this incredible facility, the kids, the city is so impoverished that people come to school with so much baggage. So yeah, the school system is one thing, but the problem is the school system is the bandage for all ills in society. And so we have communities where people they don't have any gainful employment. 1/3 of the city of Buffalo doesn't have a car or any type of transportation. There is no public transportation really readily available. You have real societal issues that need to be addressed for the school district to be functional. And those are the type of things. Go ahead.
No, I understand that. And I think, I think you've got suburban districts and then you've got urban districts. And I think you cannot use the same model of suburban districts for urban districts, because in urban districts, oftentimes you need many more support services integrated into the school to support the students and to support the families than you need necessarily in the suburban settings.
All right, well, time is of the essence, so I'm going to play one more clip here, sir. And this next clip is some hilarious commentary from Eric Adams. Then we'll have some closing statements. Here we go. These are the Eric Adams. You're gonna have to wait to hear.
New York City is the greatest city on the globe. That makes me the greatest mayor on the globe. This is a place where every day you wake up, you could experience everything from a plane crashing into our trade center to a person who's celebrating a new business that's open. We know New York City is the Islamabad of America, is the Lagos of America, the Athens of America. Lima, Port-au-Prince, Kyiv, Zagreb. New York City is the Istanbul of America. I start the day with telling my team, we gotta follow the law. I sleep well at night with my little teddy bear because I follow the rules. I was not offered any position to go to Turkey, to eat turkey, to do anything else. I'm not going to resign. I'm going to reign.
Well,
I like broccoli. You're going to hate me now,
he is-
but you're going to love me later.
I can hear this last one.
I'm Gandhi-like. I think like Gandhi. I act like Gandhi.
Okay.
I want to be like Gandhi.
Go ahead.
1 a.m. in the morning.
What were you saying? He says he's Gandhi. All right, go.
No, this guy is about to become he's about to become a footnote, I think, in political history and in the city. You know, he had a lot of promise. People thought that hiring a former captain in the police department was going to bring some order to the city, and unfortunately, he was not able to grow into that role. And
Listen,
he had a couple of other nicks.
I want to say to everybody out there, Republican, Democrat, whatever, don't go with the flow. Anyone with a brain objectively saw this guy was an idiot from day one. I remember saying it online. This guy seems like a bully. He wants to go to a nightclub. He just became the mayor. What the heck's going on here? He's 60-something years old. He hangs out at the nightclub every night. And in this video, he also says he likes to hang out in barbershops when they're closed and drinking Henny with cigars. Why? It's just weird. Okay, remember when Cuomo was a bully? I'd said he's a bully, and people, hey, you're a bad person, Nate. We have this team mentality. These are public servants. Our party tries to pick the best person, but if he's not good, why do we stick by them? I mean, Cuomo was a complete jerk. I mean, like
I am getting some latency.
Oh, don't worry. That's your side. That's your side, bro. So we're good on our side. Anyway, any final comments here before I close it off? Go ahead. My comment there was like, let's be objective about all of our leaders. Let's not idolize. Let's utilize our leadership. Stop idolizing these people. They're regular people. They're going to make mistakes, and when they make mistakes, we need to call it out. Go ahead.
Yeah. Also, you know, you look at these people as politicians, as presidents, senators, whatever. At the base level, Nate, they're citizens. They're renting that office. When they're out of office, they are a citizen just like us. One point I would like to make is that there was a really great article. There have been a couple of great articles. One specifically, excuse me, in the New York Times about Dick Cheney and how he pushed the unitary presidential theory. He began it, and then Trump put it on steroids. And as well-intentioned as Cheney may have thought he was, and he was sort of a political prodigy because he was in his like late 20s, early 30s, and he had held these very significant positions in government. The idea that one person at the controls is going to be superior to our system of checks and balances has time and time and time again proven to be, false.
Dick Cheney was not a good man.
We have a system that works as much as people think they know best. To the extent that these checks and balances are eroded, I think it makes for poor decision-making and ultimately poor results for the American people.
Yes, sir. I agree. With that, we will close. Everybody have a good day. I'll see you soon, Tony, okay?
All right. See ya.